All righty. Um, I guess old business, Mike.
Yeah, I have a couple things real
Okay.
quick for old business. Last month we voted in two new applicants, Tom and Dave. Dave's here tonight. Um, I thought I had an application that was sent to me. I just checked my email again and I don't seem to have it. And the only reason I put that in old business because I thought it was someone that was on my list from before.
Right.
So I got to do some digging and see where my disconnect is there. Um, so I don't think we have any other old business that's not field day. Let me just check real quick. No, I do not.
So I have a question under old business. Do we have a plan going forward of meeting in face to face past September, or has that not started yet?
We have not started that conversation yet.
Okay,
We
thanks.
let's Foster, good. It's a good lead in for maybe something we can discuss in new business because it has been a little bit of chatter on this. So we'll let's table that for the next on the new business when we get there. Okay. Anything else, Mike?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll move on to new business.
Before we get into field day,
Yes, sir.
one point of new business is our Delaware QSO party. You know, it's run by our club. Is this weekend.
Mhm.
Um, and now with more modes, FT8 and FT4, as mentioned earlier from Ken, um, there is a specific way that we need those logs submitted. So if you're planning on doing that, please make sure you take a look. We can only accept logs from WSJTX. Um, and all the relevant other information should all be updated on the club website as of the other night.
Yeah. Have you been catching some of the questions that have been coming in on the mailer on some folks were having regarding? I guess it had to have been about formats too.
I have not been able to really check my emails the last couple days, aside from looking for ones from Jerry and Rich because we were working on the updated rules and such.
Right.
So I will take a look.
By the way, is it those in this forum tonight? How many are planning on partaking this weekend? I was gonna do part time, some timing. Yeah.
I would like to. I don't know if I can. The club call sign is up for use if anyone is interested. Um, Jerry usually tries to throw together a schedule for anyone who wants to use it. So if you would like to use and operate as the club call sign for part of your party, um, just send an email. This way we're not using it at the same time. But that is an option for anyone in the club.
Hmm. Okay.
I have a question, Mike, if I
Yes,
might.
sir.
Uh, I have not read the rules very carefully. I did see the FT4 and FT8, but you just said that we have to submit our logs using the JS.
If if you are using FT4 and FT8,
Yeah,
we can only accept the log from WSJTX for that. So if you're going to do CW and that, you would
yeah.
submit two logs. Your normal
Oh,
log,
that was my question.
yep,
Okay.
your normal
Okay.
log and the log from WSJTX because I have to take that log and run it through a program that I wrote that needs to reformat everything because it comes out different than what we need to score for our regular party logs.
So we're going to send CQ Field Day. Is that right? We're using the field.
You're
day.
using the field day special operation, yes.
What if the person who answers does not answer with the appropriate, 1A Arizona or whatever? Then what?
Look them up in the call book.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if that came up. I think we just, if you're going to use it, it says use this mode.
And well, we're gonna be in a different, on a different frequency anyway, not the usual FT4, FT8 frequencies.
Is that right?
Point. Very good point.
Where
Yeah,
are we gonna
Jerry,
be?
uh,
Oh,
yeah.
It's up on the website. It's
I
up
knew
on-
this the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up on the
Now you're
website.
asking me, I don't remember, but it's up there, yeah.
4
That's fine.
kilohertz. It's 4 kilohertz above the standard FT8.
Yeah,
Okay,
So yeah.
I will read the instructions. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
So we're using CQ field day. We're not using some special CQ for the, is that right?
you don't have to use CQ field day. You could use CQDE. That
Okay.
is an option. This to not to confuse people.
Yeah, I think that might be good.
Mhm. And that's, we kind of alluded to that on the site. Excuse me. So,
Yeah, I wish.
please take a look at them. If something is not clear, please let me know as soon as possible and I can make some changes.
Yeah, I wish Jerry was on the call because one of the things I was going to ask him was to what other contests are going on out there right now? Just curious.
New England CUSO party is gonna be on.
Yeah. Just
For this weekend?
yeah.
No.
I got an email from them saying, come and join us.
Where is this?
New England CUSO party.
Oh, New England Q Supply.
Yeah, we usually do it together. I see, yeah, the New England CUSO party. So there's a link to the state CUSO party calendar on our site,
Okay.
and they keep that site updated a lot.
That's great. Okay. Well, it's gonna be interesting this year. A little different than the years past.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you guys remember there was that fella down in Lower Delaware who always would win. Right? Remember every year, and Jerry, it was always because Jerry, by the time we queried up everything, it was a lot of controversy there. When was he going to release the scores? You remember this?
Yeah.
So I wonder how that's going to change this year with the FT8 and the FT4.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to change it a lot, I think. Scoring, I think so. All right. Any other? What else? New business, I guess.
Real quick, just a comment. This is Ken. It looks like it's Indiana, the 7th call area, Delaware, New England. So there's at least 4 QSO parties this
Good.
weekend.
Awesome.
And I know last year with my contacts, the overwhelming majority were from outside of Delaware. I mean, they were these other QSO parties.
Great.
Yeah. You got
Okay.
Idaho, Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, Oregon, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, Washington State, Wyoming. They're all this weekend.
Okay. All
I
right.
was just elaborating on what
So
Ken
the
said.
12 of the
Sorry.
50 states are this weekend.
Still not too bad though. Okay, new business. Any other topics here? So I do want to do a drive-by there with Foster's comment about meeting up again. I think we should at least begin to plan when our first face-to-face meeting will occur. A plan. I'm not saying it's not going to happen next month or June. I'm thinking something maybe towards July or August, maybe the summertime. I know I talked to Mike Kersey over here, and we were talking about maybe having the meeting outdoors. A food for thought. I would really know. Do we have just ask the question, amphitheaters, anybody know of any amphitheaters that we might be able to host our meeting outdoors at an amphitheater? Although the presentations are gonna be a little tough. You know, so, don't need a definite answer now, but I want to put it on the table.
Longwood,
Excuse me,
some
Bill?
of Longwood Gardens.
Longwood Garden, yeah, I love Longwood Gardens. That'd be great to have a meeting up there. We can do it on the weekend.
A little pricey.
Yeah, you got, well, I'm a club member, so I get a couple of you guys in for free.
Yeah, I am too, but still.
They got beer?
Yeah, they got beer,
They
they got a
do?
beer garden, they got a beer garden, yep.
Has there been any thought to having, say, quarterly meetings in person and doing them monthly on Zoom?
I'm fine, I'm very open to that. It's a, I think, Ken, it's just getting that initial the initial face-to-face is gonna be the big step out. But
I
I'm,
think that,
excuse me?
sorry.
Could I interject something at this point?
Yeah.
Sure.
First of all, First State Amateur Radio Club is still welcome at the church.
Mhm.
I'm on the IT committee, and my project right now is to set up a conference rooms that can be a hybrid Zoom meeting, in-person meeting.
Nice.
So it'll have camera and microphone, so you could have a Zoom connection to an in-person meeting. People could Zoom in.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
that's an awesome opportunity there. It
Yeah.
really is.
Where is your church located?
Falk Road, next to the library, if you know where the library on Falk Road is, or Brandywine High School. It's right next to Brandywine High School.
So the other option, the other thing too, Chad, although we, it's kind of funny, I remember the last time we did this, we have the ability to do some social distancing in the gymnasium there,
Yeah, that
Right.
could be a possibility too.
but we don't want to do it during the summer months.
No,
That was brutal. I have to say, that was brutal.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could always meet out in the on the swings or the little pirate
Yeah.
ship or whatever it is.
Pirate ship.
Pirate ship,
I'm in the
yeah.
pirate ship. So Bellevue State Park has got a big grassy area that's their amphitheater.
Right.
You could probably grab that, but there's also a ton of grassy areas in that. So that may be something to do because it's darker later out to be able to meet, in a park someplace and sit outside, 12 feet apart.
Okay, so let's do this. I just want to get the dialogue started, which we have. We'll bring this up in old business next month. Food for thought, some thoughts, collect some ideas here. No rush, but definitely want to start marking some calendar dates that we could at least start pursuing the opportunity of doing a face-to-face meeting. And Ken, I love the idea of quarterly. I think we can do a hybrid, no question about it. I mean, even Chet saying he's got a hybrid. The church will have the Zoom meetings. That'll be fantastic for those who don't want to, or they just can't, even if it's not COVID related, even, right? I mean, some folks just can't get out, right? So this is a good start. It's good, and I think I'm glad I'm hearing this, because you're going to hear from Mike in a second, in a few minutes, from the survey. It was very interesting, the outcome of the survey about wanting to meet. So I think things are getting very positive here, that we are finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel of being able to get together again, gather. So before I move it again into field day, is there any other new business? All right, then. So Mike, the floor is yours now.
Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Perfect.
Good. Okay, so Field Day 2021. So as you know, we took a survey. So Mike did a really good job on that, setting that up, REU. And I got some of the results here for that. And here's one of the surveys. It says in here is, have you participated in Field Day in the past? And it looks like, 91% of the people, there were 23 responses. So that's a very popular activity for this club. It's Field Day. And the other one that was interesting too was, do you consider Field Day 2021 high risk? So it looked like more than half of you considered it not a high risk at this time. So interesting in the survey there. Would you attend field day at a public site if the CDC guidelines were followed? Looks like more than half of the people said they would be okay with that. And then 30% maybe. So that could go either way. The other one was if a remote station was available, would you use it to participate in field day? And less than half the people said no to that. That would be similar to what we saw in 2020 because we just didn't have that many participants in that. Top 4 things here. What are you looking for in field day? So the top one was recreational, interesting, contesting, education, and e-com. Those were the 4 areas that were listed in there.
I
And
wanted
the
the
most-
burgers to be the most important thing.
Say that again?
I wanted the burgers to be the most important thing.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
Jerry cinnamon rolls.
Modes were pretty interesting. So the top modes were voice and FT8, but you could kind of lump that together with digital too. I don't know, I guess they called it digital. I guess that's what, FT4 and teletype and packet and everything else that goes with it, PK32, 31, whatever it takes.
So if you add digital and FT8 together, then you're just going to run all digital weekend?
Well, close to voice, that would be 17 and 16 of the votes.
Yep.
If you attend, what bands would you want to run? So like we've always found in the past, 80, 40, and 20 are the big bands for field day. We have very little activity on 15. And I think one year I used 160 and had 1 contact, which was interesting.
Hey, but by the way, there is a chance that those upper bands some of them might be open by field day, some,
Yes, that is true.
right?
If you attend, would you support any of these transmission related activities? So what would you want to do? A lot of people said they would mostly want to support the radio related items. 13 said the antenna and the rigs were the other ones. So you look at those responses and you say, wow, that was 31 results. Well, you could answer more than once on that. There was only 23 responses. If you attend, could you support any of these activities? Setup of tents, generator maintenance, and grilling looks like it was straight down there. So it looks like everybody could pretty much do what they wanted to do. And if you attended, could you support a tear down of the sites? And surprisingly, a majority of the people said, yeah, they would assist in taking it down. So that's good. So that kind of leaves us some know, so what is the club going to do for Field Day 2021 for COVID? So my saying is, let's get back to some basic ham radio. And we do that by picking a new location, and we could do that. However, the location that we were looking at before is not available the weekend for that weekend that we want. So fortunately, our buddy Chet, he's got the Springer site, which we've used in the past, and he's got it registered and ready to go for that weekend. So that would be our site of choice right now, unless somebody comes up with something different. Again, we're looking at running 2 stations. However, the recommendation we have is we're going to consist of 1 main station, which would be voice and digital, FT8, CW, whatever is going to be run. And then there'd be 1 floating station that could be used by any of the members. And you could also bring your own radio in there if you wanted to bring a radio out, set up an antenna, and practice setting it up and doing the operation. So that would give somebody that's never done that before a chance, something to do. Antennas, Like I say, like Alan said earlier, keep it simple, stupid. Simple dipole or NFET could be used. And that would allow the club to experiment, and it would eliminate the track area usage. That's always been an issue and a worry of concern, has been setting up that antenna in the field inside the track, and then all the things that go with that antenna. If you remember the year before last, we had that vertical set way over to the one side. That worked out real well because it was not a real high traffic area, but that one inside the track is always suspect.
So I want to, Mike, just pause a second on this. So I just want to reiterate Mike's point about being 2A. So, you know, obviously in the past, when we were outside, when we became 2A, we dedicated a station for a voice and CW, and then we had that second station for digital. If you remember, that was I think the last year we were outside. We had Paul's vertical, and we had the dipole out in the field there. And that was I have to say that was a very, it was a good year. I mean, I thought we did a lot of good contacting. We had a lot of opportunity to get in the seats and such. So the theme this year was really driven on the idea that since we're getting back out, right? Let's do this in a more, how do you say, ease into this process of getting back into ham radio. So obviously setting up a workstation for the traditional voice and CW would actually be always, that's something that I know a lot of traditionalists like, and that's good, and that's what we want to do. And that second station was driven on the idea of us as a club to actually find time to bring things into a show and tell and spend your half hour or your hour on that time frame to demonstrate things that you have.
Or to come and learn something.
Yeah, well, that's the intent, is to bring your stuff and have people come and learn the things that you got. It's really sharing of knowledge of the things you're doing. And so that was kind of the theme this year, was to try to build a little more of a learning experience, because we have a lot of members, newer members, some are not very well experienced and some are. So it'll be interesting. Like funny, Sam shows up today, right? Perfect time, Sam. We haven't seen you in a while, right? Boy, I'd love you to come down and just bring your satellite. I mean, I know you don't get much contesting over a satellite, but the idea of bringing your satellite setup and showing folks that would be an awesome opportunity to give some folks exposure to that. That would be an example. In my case, I have a nice little QRP setup. I'm willing to bring my QRP setup down, and I'm actually willing to leave it and let people use it. I'm not even worried about that. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of what I'm hoping that we can achieve this year, is that we have a floating station that gives us the opportunity for us as club members to share some of our experiences and make it a learning experience. So I just wanted to kind of interject there. I'm sorry, Mike, if I broke your flow.
Not a problem. Okay, the next thing is what kind of preparations are we going to need? I'm recommending a minimal setup period. So this would be in line with emergency communications. No bulky antennas to set up. And like I say, the KISS principle. And this option would allow members to learn on setting up in a disaster type situation, which we would use for. So some of the items we're going to need is, of course, we're all worried about COVID. So we got to have some type of COVID signage for the members and the public, anybody that comes by there. So we just don't want everybody just coming in without masks and social distancing. So we're going to need one radio for this main station that we're going to have. We're also going to need wire and coax for an antenna. And then we need to decide whether we're going to build that on site as a learning process, or throwing something together at the last minute, or we're going to bring something that's prefabricated. So that's a decision that's going to have to be made by the members of the club. We're also going to need a generator for power. We're also going to need the tents to house the radios and the operators. We're going to need 2 laptops for logging. Then we need to decide, do we really need those laptops? And do we really need to log with a laptop and with software? Do we, or do we just write it down?
I'm not logging by
And-
hand, Mike.
Say that again?
I'm not logging by hand.
Oh, God, I love
Okay,
it.
so if there's an emergency, you're not gonna be able to do this. That's the only thing I'm saying. So, a gas grill for cooking. I'm thinking that's the easiest way to do it. If anybody has a spare gas grill, which would be really, really nice.
But you said it's e-com. You're gonna have to rub 2 sticks.
Now we can do that too. Yeah. Special call sign, thanks to WD3C. He got the K3F call sign. So Rich did a good job on that. He went and did that. And the other thing we need is we need good weather. So that's why I got the rain cloud there with the X through it. We want to have good weather for this. We've had, some of them weren't rain the whole weekend, which was not fun.
I move we have good weather.
It's really
Yeah.
coming down here now.
Second that.
So once we make these decisions on these items, the list will be sent out. We'll have a sign-up sheet ready to go by the May meeting. And everybody could sign up to what piece they want to do. So that's where I'm leaving it.
So a couple of
So
questions, Mike.
I guess we got to decide. I guess we will or we're not using Springer. I guess that's the first item. And I'd say it probably right now it's pretty much going to be Springer, because unless somebody can come up with something fairly quick.
Yeah, the only thing about Springer is there aren't many trees. The trees are on the perimeter. So if we were gonna use trees to spring antennas up, we'd have to be closer to the tree line. That's something you gotta be, we have to consider.
I got plenty of trees in my backyard.
Yeah, I know you do.
What was that?
Bill said he's got a lot of trees in his backyard.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of trees in his backyard. Yeah.
And the other thing I want to ask is, we talked about it, Paul, you had that vertical 2 years ago. Can you dust that thing off? Maybe we could set that up again.
Well, I'm happy to do that. It's actually currently deployed in my backyard so that I could, with the pandemic and all, I thought I might actually at some point be called upon to do actual emergency communications, and I should have a good antenna. So I set it up here. But yes, I can bring it if we want to do that. It works very well at 80, 40, and 20. 15 and 10, the gain is great, but the pattern is straight up towards the clouds. So it's not so good for that. Unless we, switched over to using a shorter wire, which you could in fact do during the day. But I guess the question I have is, are we, we don't want to do a full-time digital station anymore? I thought the one we had last time got a lot of use.
I think the intent is the first seat could be arranged to any one of those functions, voice, CW, or digital. The second seat, it could be digital. You want to do digital? We have the second antenna. You hook, all you need is a rig and a laptop, right?
We haven't decided the location yet. Have
Well,
we decided?
personally, I think Springer is a great idea. And
Okay, so that's decided. So,
Yeah, it's been decided for us, Chet. I mean,
okay, so Mike, put the next line up.
Okay.
One more. Okay, now, we in the past, we've operated 2 stations. One was voice and CW, the other was purely digital. I don't know where this one floating station idea came from, but if there actually is a demand for that, which is fine, why don't we operate 1A If I'm gonna float my station in, I pick my time, bring it into the floating setup. And for my hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever, my station, my rig operates from the floating station and the other station is quiet. We hardly have enough operators to keep one station going, frankly. If we're not going to, if we're not going to operate voice and CW on one and digital on another, I think that's fine. But why don't we just do it all on, with 1A instead of 2A?
So Chet, the idea behind that is the one fixed station is always up and running, always available. I know we struggle to get people around the clock to fill in time slots, but when we do have people during the day, we usually have multiple people there at the same time. That gives us an opportunity for someone who just wants to sit down and operate, and the opportunity for someone to come in and, hey, can someone help me? I want to try and set this up and try and run this.
And
That was the idea behind the floating part.
Yeah, and the intent of, I mean, 2A, obviously, the only impact it has is the scoring, really. That's what it only, I mean, that's the only real impact it has.
First of all, who wants to float their station in?
No, I have an opportunity. I want to bring my
Okay.
I'll bring my QRP rig,
And
my
I think,
buddy pole.
and I think that's great. Why don't we operate 1A? You sign up for your 1 or 2 or 3 hour slot, bring your QRP rig, and you operate your QRP rig during that time slot. I mean,
I think in order to be as flexible as possible, I think we need to have the 2A.
Well, I guess what I would say is if we're going to be 2A, why not have, 2 radios there the whole time?
We're not saying we can't or won't, but the idea is that one is fixed and always available for use for sign up. And then the other, sure, if you want to sign up and do digital while somebody else is doing voice, but you don't want to do your own radio, okay, well, we have another setup that can be used for that. We're not saying that we wouldn't do that, but that would require us to have another radio.
So why don't we do this then? Why don't we say, we do 2A, we run one station all the time, no matter what. And then the second station could be digital, it could be whatever it wants to be, or the first one could be all digital. That second one would operate, and then when somebody wants to float, then that other station would stop.
So the second station is the floating station.
Yeah.
Right. It would stop for the floating station. The floating station would operate, and then after they're done, then they would come back in. We could have 3 radios. We just can only have 2 transmitting at the same time.
I would just look. I want to go back to the rationale behind this. Okay, the rationale started out with the fact that if we put 1A in, what I don't want to see is a crowd of people around one radio. And we will. I understand that there are times when, some people don't sit in the seats, but typically during the day you get, we have a lot of people. And what I found from some lessons learned in the past was, sometimes you want to get in, you want to see what's going on, but it's just you can't. I mean, literally you got to worry about the COVID situation as well. That you can't have people crowding around a workstation, a radio.
So 2 years ago, we tried to set up a remote speaker so people could listen in.
Right.
And that failed because we didn't have the right connector gender. But I suspect that with a few months' notice, we could probably get the right connector this time.
Okay. I mean, that's a lesson learned that we need to make sure. But going back to the point of, we can set up 2 radios that are one's CW and one voice, the other could be digital. They could be on, and then you could float that second station to, if we want to throw in a QRP or we want to do some other type of, contacting we have that option. So, the intent was just to have at least have one seat in there that could be for the traditional role that we always serve. The second seat we moved to digital. That could be a floater as well.
So we also, 2 years ago, you brought your VHF rig,
Mhm.
and because we're allowed a free VHF station that doesn't count towards the number of transmitters.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody's interested in doing that again this year or what. Or if you
We
have
have
an
to check
alternate.
the rules. I think that has to be a GOTA station.
No, it doesn't. That the GOTA station is another thing, but you're allowed one free VHF station that only
Okay.
does VHF and UHF.
Okay.
You have to
Well,
be at
this-
least, you have to be at least 2A in order to have a GOTA station.
Correct.
What we're, so I think we're getting away from the main point that Alan and Mike and I are trying to get to. What we're proposing here is just the bare minimum of what we think we should do. One main station, the other one doing something, but not tied up. And anything above and beyond is all the more welcome.
Yeah.
I would
And that
like
was
to-
going to be my question, like suppose you wanted to have more. and
We
you had
just
the
we just
capability.
don't want to go above 2A because then that changes the class for the whole time period, and you can't go down.
Okay.
I-
See,
I
this,
would-
this part of field day is totally new to me. So, if I throw out a question that seems inappropriate, please,
No, it's a
That's
good
okay.
question.
Okay.
So really, do we think we'll have extra visitors and people showing up?
No. I don't think.
Yeah, and that, by the way, just that, that was one of the reasons why we did consider looking at an alternative place where there wasn't gonna be a lot of people. Just for that reason, so.
If we operate two stations, even though one may not be occupied much of the time, if the quote main station has a schedule, then I would say that either we have two sets of antennas operating on different bands so that the second station can operate on a different band than the main station. Or if we only have one set of antennas that have to be shared, the main station, which has a schedule, has priority.
Yes,
So I could bring my antenna to station number 2, but if the time I'm there, someone's operating station number 1 as part of the schedule, well, I have to wait.
that's fair. I mean, you got it, right?
And I thought the idea was to have two separate, at least a second antenna.
Okay. Well, if we do that, I'm not quite sure how we could do that without putting an antenna in the track
Right.
area, especially if they're dipoles.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, I can bring my vertical and we can put it over by the baseball diamond like we did last time. I presume we still have that giant coil of
Coax.
whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the second one, I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna put it in trees, it would have to go either in front of the school or, which is not a great place because most of America is on the other side of the building. Or we could put it along the tree line somewhere.
That's a possibility.
So,
There's a tree right there where we sat underneath. That one there, we could do a sloper there.
so
True.
being part of the school district sort of hierarchy of doing stuff, did you guys, you'll need to clear, I'm sorry, let's back up. You're gonna need to clear that you can use a tree on the property. They're not gonna let you just toss stuff up in there and pull things down.
Are we dismissing the idea of using Frank's tripods? I sent an email to Al the other day. Do you might recall when Chet moved out of his place, I took custody of the club's, I think it's a
Team.
10, 15, 20 meter Yagi there. It's in my tool shed. I'm thinking all the parts are there to it, but that could be a possibility. And what I suggest is that, we have almost 2 months before field day, and I have a big backyard. I would certainly be willing, I get with Frank, we can have like a little test to see if we can get the club's Yagi working and put on like one of his tripods, and that might be an option.
Alan,
Yes.
could we vote on whether or not we're 1A or 2A?
You want to vote right now, this moment?
Well, I mean, we're trying to talk about what our options are.
Can you
Well,
explain to me what the difference is between 1A and 2A?
Yes.
One transmitter operating or 2 transmitters simultaneously operating.
I don't
And
think
wh-
I want
Well,
to, I don't think I would want to, right at this point in time, vote on this specific right now, Chet. Right? I mean, like I said, we're having discussion on this. And all that will do is basically potentially limit us for what we want to do right now.
what is the con for operating 2A, Chet?
There's no con at all, but right now we're folding the FT8 into the voice and CW station, and then we have this second station sitting here.
No,
That-
no, that's not necessarily the case. The
That's
discussion,
what it says.
right, right, I got that. Yeah, let's correct this. The second station could be configured as our digital station. And if somebody wants to sit in the seat, we were just talking about this, sit in the seat and use that station to do digital in their time slot, they're more than welcome. If a person wants to, on their time slot on that second station, wants to do something different, they can on their time slot. But going back to Dave's point, I kind of agree with him. We have the primary station, the station that we always use, the voice and CW. That should have some priority over the others right now. We've learned last time, let's get real, let's talk about this here. Last time we did this, we were very successful with running 2 bands, all right, 2 separate bands, 2 different rigs, and being able to share the bands necessarily. They were, folks would flip from 80 to 40, they go to 84. And the idea, the way we got around a lot of this is that we had a vertical and we had a horizontal polarized antenna, which helped a lot. We never worked on the same band. When we
We also had lots of antenna infrastructure though, Alan.
Yes, we did. And again, that's why I'm thinking one of the things we should be considering is maybe we need to go back to a vertical and a horizontal configuration and come up with a plan for that. Because that's one way of eliminating co-site.
If the proposals that I'm seeing here, dipole or end fed, those are all going to be horizontally polarized.
That's correct. That's correct.
So the other thing that made a difference was the fact that the 2 antennae were like 400 feet apart or 500 feet apart.
Yes, they were. That's why we had a big long coil coax wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But you're not going to get past that in the Springer site. They're going to be close to each other.
No, that's what we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years
Right.
ago, it worked very well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the other option is we could do what we didn't do, we always seem to set up on the idea of, and I look to you guys on the safety side of this, is to set up a tower, one of Frank's towers on the slope, where, because it's the high ground where we usually set the antennas up, and then now the track is down below, like in a bowl. Maybe we set up a tower there and we run an end fed or something across. Now, I don't know if the energy, the field strength is going to be something we have to concern ourselves if we're higher up above the folks walking on the track. So you guys tell me, you think we're gonna have, is that why we always put it in the center of the track?
Well, it depends what bandwidth you're operating. I mean, if you're operating 80 meters, it's far enough from the size of the human dimension that you're not going to absorb much energy. But 10 meters, different story.
80 you use at night, so there's not going to be any, the majority of people are going to be there during the day.
That would just
Yeah.
slow as they go by. So, I mean, we got a lot of considerations here, but we need to at least get this, one thing we want to get done with the site. We at least got that resolved. Do we need to vote on it being a 2A versus a 1A? I just feel if we go 1A, we're basically, let's go bare bones.
Has
So-
anybody talked
so
to
let-
Jerry? Because 2 years ago, Jerry single-handedly operated the second station, the digital station, for 24 hours.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Well, that's actually not true.
Yeah,
I-
that's not
I
true.
did it. I did at least 4 or 5 of those hours
Oh,
myself.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me and my son did
although-
it too.
The entire time Jerry was hovering over me and wondering when I was going to let him.
Exactly, exactly. Because I did an hour of digital too, just before
Yeah.
Mike and his son. So
My 2 hours at 1 o'clock in the morning were sat by Jerry. Okay.
yeah, all right.
Yeah, I don't know that Jerry's going to be out there that long this time.
I'm wondering if he's planning on showing up at all because, of course, he does have certain health concerns.
Yes.
So somebody should ask him.
So
Well,
I guess
again,
my question is, are we trying to be the Frankfurt Radio Club and
No.
score points, or
No.
are we showing up and eating hot dogs?
no, we
Eating
want to
hot
have
dogs-
one dedicated station. We want to have one dedicated station, right? The second station, if nobody's there to do anything that they want to do, if nobody wants to try it, help me figure out my radio, then it can run digital. It can do anything or nothing, but the option is there.
I think, Mike, I want to jump on. That's good. I think some of you folks here who have been doing this for years, there's a getting used to factor here. I want you to also consider there are a bunch of members in this club who would love the opportunity of understanding how to contest and even using it, even though we're not really contesting, but the idea of making contact, you can do a contest process. Using their own equipment would probably potentially excite them. Say, how do you set this up? And well, you guys are all Elmers, and that's the whole intent of this opportunity.
I was planning on bringing my radio to have it tested out.
Say, I mean, I want you guys to think of it in that manner as well. So,
I would encourage both stations to have a sign-up list.
yes, I would. It's the stations, or look. Let's play it out here. Let's say I'm more of Chad. I'm more of a digital guy, right? You know that, right? So I might sign up during the day for an hour or two on the digital station, but I might opt to actually bring my QRP and do my digital contacting using the QRP radio, my QRP radio with a buddy pole, right? That's my option. That's my option. If I work in the middle of the night, for instance, which I've done before, I might use the station that we stood up, right? Something a little, something, because I'm not going to be messing around in the middle of the night trying to set up my radios and such. But I'm just saying that's kind of an example of what I would be doing. Does that sound realistic?
Yeah, but let me ask you this. So then getting back to basic ham radio. So are we there to do contesting? Are we there to do because really doesn't make that much difference. If we're in for contesting, then we should pick one category and go full bore 24 hours a day to get the most contacts.
There's no point in us doing contesting, Mike.
Right.
We can't maintain a 24-hour schedule. Hell, we can't maintain a 6-hour schedule sometimes.
But we did have some people say that they wanted to do it for contesting. So, we could do that. So really, whether it's 1A or 2A or 55A really doesn't make that much difference, really. does it? From a from a contest standpoint.
It doesn't.
Well, not if the club as a whole doesn't care about the score. Because an
Correct.
individual who's interested in contesting can try to set a personal best, and that should be good enough.
Yeah, like when I did field day back in Ohio, we probably had 10 different clubs in the area. And we were all, let's beat them, let's beat them. Christ, we don't even, we have 3 people in Delaware, I believe, that sent in scores last year. So really the contest aspect it's not that optimal for contesting. So I think whether we're 1A or we're 2A or 55A, doesn't really make that much difference. It's just being able to operate that many radios at the same time without interference safely. That's
Well,
it.
we had 10 First State Amateur Radio Club logs sent in last year. I was one of them. Are we still going to be operating from home as well?
I don't know what the rules are going to be this year.
Yeah, I think it's the same this year.
It is?
Yeah. So you can certainly operate from home and have your score aggregated if you want.
Right, just remember, you can't use the club call sign.
Yes. All right.
And I think in the past, we've always waited till May to decide on 1A, 2A.
Yeah.
52A. And you got to remember too, that what we did in 2019 was the first time we did it.
Yeah.
That we actually had a digital station.
And
We had a lot of infrastructure and a lot of people helping.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't think we can count on that this year. I don't think we should count on that this year. I thought the idea, as you pointed out, was to try and keep it a little more simple, a little more flexible. And I think what
So-
we proposed gives us that flexibility and keeps it a little simple. Whether we operate 2 of them, it really doesn't matter. We just want to have the ability and the option for someone to come in and say, can you help me set up my radio and try it out?
plug into this antenna.
Right. And not have to worry about whether or not they signed up for a time slot on the regular radio, which we're hoping to get booked most of the time.
Right. So I think you guys should plan on running 1A. And if somebody shows up and runs a radio and it bumps it to 2A, that's just fabulous.
No, what you have to go in is a 2A though.
No, you can go up, you just can't go down.
All right, okay. So listen, look, we have, let's get back to the point here. We have to take this a more, the word infrastructure was totally spot on about 2019 when we did it, right? We really brought it all out. This year, I'm saying, okay, maybe we have to put Frank's towers up. All right, that's something we'll deal with, right? Mike, Kersey, remember when we went to Bill's house, we brought your butternut, right? Well, we can bring the butternut up again, make that the vertical. You know what I'm saying? We can make it simple enough. Matter of fact, we may have a little more flexibility to kind of tinker with it to make it perform better or something like that. You know what I mean? I think we have the flexibility to do the things we want to do. I don't think we need to be tied up with all this infrastructure. I think that is a very good point, Mike. Federico, you brought that up. That's a very good point. Let's try to keep it simple. I'm even like to the point where I'm saying if we had a bunch of antennas just laying around set up and you plug into an antenna, I mean, you got to know what band you're on, your cost, there's management issues there. But that would be kind of nice for some folks to be able to plug their rig up into an antenna and see how it performs, So, but I'm saying is the 1A station is the one that will set up permanently, that we normally traditionally do. So that's always there. It keeps
So
the tradition.
I guess I'm hearing that there's a little bit of backlash here, that people felt like they didn't enjoy the 2019 experience because it was too complex.
I thought it was awesome. I loved every part of it.
I liked Paul. I loved it. I thought it was great that we really went out there and we showed what we can do.
I
Okay.
just don't think we can do that this year.
this year, right?
Hopefully we get to a point where maybe 2022 is the year where we do it again. I would love to do it again.
Yes.
It's not this year. Let's be real. It's just not this year.
Right.
Well, I guess
And you
that's fine.
think
I
that
mean,
because of what?
A lot of work and a lot of planning went into last year's or 2 years ago's setup, and a lot of infrastructure was put in place to do it and maintain it.
COVID.
let me put it this way. I brought a 24 port Ethernet switch.
Yes.
I brought 5 laptops and we used 3 of them. So
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So look, Mike just chatted me about, the word committee. I actually think this is probably, now think about this, 2019, we had a committee, right? Remember Paul, you, myself, we had this committee for field day. Maybe we set up a field, so we have to maybe we need to do a look out on the outside of this group right now and kind of, for the next meeting, we have some kind of proposed plan ahead. I know we got the wear down, right? I think pretty much we're leaning 2A, even though, like you said, we can be a 1A going in as a 2A. The big questions that have to be answered is, infrastructure, antennas and rigs.
Yeah. I mean, without that, we got nothing.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure people are clear from any comment that I have made. It's not that I don't want people to be involved. That isn't it. I was thrilled to be involved with this club when I first came on board. But we can just keep having these conversations over and over and over and over again. And essentially we all end up enjoying what we do anyway, whatever it is that ends up being field day. Now, last year was definitely unique. I personally enjoyed it a lot. I got to use some stuff that I've never used before, and I got to do it from here. That was really cool for me.
Right. And I want, like, you to understand too, part of it too is, if it comes down to rigs, I'm all open. I'm letting my transit case as being the second station or the first station, because I have the 7300 with the UHF setup. I'm willing to volunteer that out, for the event. So make it, start there. I can at least get some equipment that I'm willing to loan for the field day. I have no problem with that. I think the question's gonna be antennas. That's gonna be the big driving factor here. We can go
Well,
simple.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Antennas.
Oh, antennas. Well, like I said, I can bring mine.
Well,
Well,
I have a G5 RV Junior we can string up somewhere.
Paul, last year we used the butternut. I don't know if you remember when we were doing
Yes.
this. I think, with a little bit of tune up, right, Mike, we could get that butternut up and running pretty well, pretty good.
I
And
think
that's
so.
center to throw up, multi-band, right?
Yeah.
So we can go simple, keep it simple, stupid there, throw up a butternut, throw up a wire, or maybe we'll need Frank's poles to throw the wire up because we have to get some height on those things. All right, maybe that's the biggest logistics issue we have outside of the generator, let's say. But
Alan, if I can interject for
Sure.
1 second. One of the points I know we discussed, it may have been in one of the side conversations, but we're trying to keep it simple because we didn't want to make assumptions about people being able to show up and help.
mhm.
So we know people, based on the survey, overwhelmingly said that they wanted to show up, but everybody knows you actually have to show up. So we don't want to make assumptions about setting up something like we did in 2019 and then only having a third of the people there to do it.
So, good
Sorry.
point, because people say they're gonna show up and they don't. And then it becomes very challenging logistics. I think from last year, I want to probably walk that one again. It was kind of, we had two teams. We had the team setting up the radios in Bill's basement, right? And then we had, like Mike and I already had the Bill's antenna, his HF antenna And then Mike and I set up the butternut in Bill's backyard and kind of got that all going. So it was, to me, that was a simple setup outside of configuring the radios remotely. That was the big challenge, right? So almost on the same concept, is minimal amount of equipment for the stations. And let's, I don't think we need to go, we don't have to overachieve. Let's put it in those terms. That's the right answer. We don't want to overachieve. We don't have to this year. We'll save that for 22. How's that? Okay. So are we all understanding this now, or any other comments here? Hey, Ken, I haven't heard from you. Both Kens, Ken times two. You guys have been pretty quiet there. I'd love to hear your points.
Well, this will be my first
Right.
field day. Now, I did visit in 2019. So I got introduced to you guys. So, and then I started attending meetings. So this will be my first one. So I'm one of the ones that said, no, I have never done it before, because I've only been a ham since July 2018. So still new.
Mhm.
But I'm
Were you
hoping to
planning
take in
on-
everything.
Were you seriously, were you planning on sitting in the seat?
Yes.
Okay.
And I do have two ICOM 706s that I can bring. There's one inside my car. There's one and I got two sitting on the shelf. I actually have 4 of them now.
Right.
And collecting them.
You know, you need 4 antennas to go along with them.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice rigs. They work very well. I get great signal reports, by the way, when I'm on the road traveling down to Aberdeen or heading home. So,
Wow.
on 20 meters with the 20-meter ham stick. Great signal reports.
So one thing we haven't talked about is power.
Do we need that?
Well, that was one of the items I said, we need to make sure we get a generator. So that's on the list.
Get
Yeah.
a hamster and start having the hamster wheel going.
As long as
So-
I don't have to be the hamster.
Does anybody here want to volunteer to be part of a committee? Foster. All right, if we're not gonna do a committee here, then-
Alan, why don't, since we don't have anybody, why don't we just continue to meet the way we were?
Okay.
Taking everybody's input and just hashing it out.
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
Because we've got everybody's input, we've got everybody's ideas and opinions. I think we can come up with something from
okay,
that.
so
But
Mike,
the important part is there's 3 important pieces that we need, right? Radio, antenna, and power.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got radios. Sounds like we have 1 or 2 antennas. We need power.
and we need, so basically, we need to reach out to Frank. That's
I also have a gel cell, a pretty big one that I got for free. So
wow, yeah.
I can definitely bring it over. It's the backup power down in my shack right now.
So Mike, to be fair to this forum, so what we should do is, if we do put something together, maybe we need to send this out maybe a couple of days before the meeting in May, so that these folks have a chance to look at this and digest it, so that they
Yeah.
see it for the first time. To be fair to everyone here, right?
Do we know for a fact that Frank's generator is not available?
Well, that's what we have. These are things we're gonna have to figure out. That's why, Chad, we should say, yeah, I've got a committee. You can go over and make the call to Frank.
He's the only person I know that has a generator.
Yeah, it's a good generator too.
I'm just surprised I don't know any other person with one.
I have a generator, but it's a noisy.
We can always rent one.
I've got a 6,500 watt job.
5,500 watts.
It's 6,500 watt job.
65. How many horse?
I think it's 13, not sure.
13 horse.
I have a friend who has one of the smaller Honda, the 2,000 watt inverter generators. I might be able to convince him to loan it to us if we can't find anything else.
Yeah, and like I said, I mentioned to you about the QRP. I actually have a LiPo battery set up for it too with the solar power, so I can literally, sit on it. If I'm running 5 watts, I can run that damn battery for a couple of hours on 5 watts. If I go to 20 watts, different story, so. But like, there are options here. So, right, these are things,
I have a kilowatt generator that we could use.
kilowatt.
That should probably be a no.
Want to roll it in the back of a deuce and a half to bring it in?
There you go.
It'll fit in a pickup truck.
All right. So I'm not gonna beat on this anymore. I think we'll follow up with this group a week prior to the meeting. We'll have something that we can distribute and have you folks review, provide some comments, and then at the May's meeting, we'll finalize on the details, all the details. Okay? Because
Sounds good.
we're going around.
Okay.
But it's a dialogue. So that's the
Yeah.
intent here, to get a dialogue going here. So taking everybody's input in. All
So,
right.
Alan,
One-
I'm probably going to be too busy this year to participate formally in a committee, but if you have some questions or you want me to do some specific thing, let me know.
Thank you, Paul. I always appreciate your feedback because it is valuable. Thanks.
Okay, and just one last thing from me, sticking antennas in the tree at Springer really isn't a go-to idea. Because I'm gonna guess that Omar, the guy that runs the facility there, isn't gonna be happy about that.
Okay.
We could ask, right?
You can ask. And I definitely do that, ask first versus begging for forgiveness.
Yeah. No, we don't want to burn that bridge. Absolutely not.
Right.
It's
Thanks.
definitely worth asking.
Whose kids go to Springer right now?
So both Chet and I have ins at Springer. Chet because he's a longtime customer with Stacy, and she and he know each other, and I know Stacy too, and I know Omar, the building guy. But we have to figure out what you're going to do. I'm willing to approach Omar and say we'd like to do this, but we just can't show up on a Saturday afternoon and throw crap in a tree. And
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's a fair
Yeah.
point.
That's, yeah.
so I'm happy to liaison with you guys with the building people.
Thank you.
Who's
And
let me ask you a question. Who is anybody has anybody, I mean, I haven't heard from Frank in a while. Anybody still in contact with Frank?
I hear him on the Mars nets almost every day.
You do. Any chance you kind of poke him, Dave?
I can give him a poke.
Give him a poke. See him about the. We're gonna look at I guess we'll. With the tripods are going to definitely need something. We need to consider that. That's got to be our backup plan if we can't put things in the tree. And of course, the generator. Frank's always been the guy with the generator.
Well, we don't have to use the Frank's antenna with multiple tripods. We can
Right.
go back to the 80-40 dipole and one pole.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's very efficient. Doesn't take long to set up. Ugly color though.
Yeah,
You might only need one tree.
you wouldn't need any trees.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if we use an end-fed wire, well, we should not tell the custodian that there's a chance that we could set the tree on fire.
Oh, do not screw with Omar.
We'll blame lightning.
Yeah, Omar will come and burn your house down.
If
So
you use
let's,
insulated wire,
let's not do that with Omar. So
It all depends how many watts you put into that thing too. By the way.
Well, you'd only have that problem with, let's say, on 80 meters if you were, or 40 meters if it was a half wave or a full wave end-fed wire, then the voltages on the end are very high.
hey, so we're almost done here. I just want to give a shout out to Dave because he posted out the emergency communications class that both Wendy and I are in, and it's awesome. I really love it, and so I would have never gotten started without Dave. So thanks, Dave. I appreciate that.
Is that the MCOM, the ARL MCOM course?
It's the Help Me Wendy EC 106.
It's the ECO 16.
That's it.
I
Mhm.
think, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have to go backwards and take the 01 first. But if anybody's ever had any of the FEMA courses, the 100 or 200, 700, they bring out a lot of that information and help apply it to the ham radio world. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's an awesome class. Yeah, so I guess I dumped into the middle of the pool also. It's like, oh, I have to take all this other stuff here to become certified for this. But the guy's great, and it's pretty exciting. So thanks, Dave, for like presenting that out. I appreciate that.
Okay,
So one other new business, it's not, I mean, it's new from a meeting standpoint, but if you haven't done the other survey, there might be some confusion. I sent out 2 different surveys. One was for field day. One was to gather a couple pieces of membership data. If you haven't done that, please find that email from me and just go and fill that out.
You're talking
Thank-
about the one where, what was your start date?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's the one where it said I've been a non-member since 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. Thanks.
okay. Any other new business?
Yeah, I've got something.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
A
Bill.
bunch of ham magazines that I gotta get rid of.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of ham magazines that I have to get rid of.
he's got a bunch of ham magazines he's gotta get rid of.
Okay.
They're QST, it's Ham Radio Horizons, and Ham Radio. So let me know if anybody wants any.
Send Bill an email there. Okay, thanks, Bill. See you clearing your basement, huh?
Yeah, sort of.
I was a little worried about us having to do remote contesting again.
Bill, is that the radio station behind you? The
Yeah,
picture?
it is.
Yeah, I thought so.
WDEL.
Mhm.
It's WDEL.
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought
any
so.
other new business? All right,
We don't have anything from the ARRL, do we?
no, we do not.
All right.
They just sent in, I just got the email. They just sent their email out. So with that, can we get a motion to close this meeting tonight?
So moved.
Any second?
A second.
All right, so the motion to close them. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
If
On
there's
Paul, I like your PDP 11 behind you there.
That's an 8, the PDP
Oh, that's an
80.
8.
Yeah.
It's hard to save on this, but very
Yeah,
cool.
it's running a basic program right now.
Okay.
I hate to tell you, Paul, I worked on an 11 myself back in the day, but putting that 8 in the background there, you're just wasting electricity. I'm sorry.
That's what I was thinking too.
You gotta like,
Well, if it were, this is actually a reproduction based on the 6120 chip. So it's a single chip PDP-80. If it were a real one, it would be the size of a suitcase and sound like a B-29 taking
Yeah.
off.
The one I first programming I ever did was on a PDP-80 in high school, and the box was the size of a refrigerator
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
with the tape drives and the paper tape reader and
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
that was,
so,
that
Alan,
was
just-
my first computing experience too, except we couldn't afford a tape drive. We had 2 ASR 33s with 10 character per second paper tape reader punches.
So Alan, you have to remember he's actually mining Bitcoins. on
Yeah.
that 80.
Oh yeah, right.
what is he making? 0.00001 cents per hour?
Yeah, right. No, it's an NFT.
There you go.
Oh, too funny. Too funny. Good.
All right, bye, boys and girls. Talk to you later.
Take care.
You guys are a mess. Have a great week.
Geek Talk. All right.
See y'all.
guys. Nice
take
talking
care. Bye-bye.
to you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.